Mute your mic.
Boom! Man, that music's catchy, isn't it, Beats? I saw you dancing over there.
Yeah, I was dancing.
I saw that. So
You saw that?
the audience doesn't know, but I can actually see backstage while everybody's hanging out prior to the broadcast, and Beats was just going to town over there. He's just like, what was that move you were doing, dude?
It was the offbeat Charleston fat man boobage.
Beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
Beautiful.
You have an artist.
You know what's funny about that? I am completely uncoordinated in like hand-eye, whatever, body movement, rhythm, but I can make some music, bro. It's weird.
Thanks for joining us. All right. So today is episode 5 of The Reflection. And
yes, it is.
We decided to tackle something that probably we're not going to see a lot of eye to eye on. We'll probably find some common ground in there, but
whoa, wait. There was the thing. The thing.
Oh, the thing.
The thing.
All right, let me put the thing in. Let's be professional and make sure we reference it as the thing from now on. There we go.
Boom! Look at the thing in the bottom corner there. It is your call to go like the Facebook page, The Reflection, and get on our YouTube, like and subscribe, The Reflection. So yeah, there it is, the thing.
Toby, thanks for joining us, man. And he's sad that his Eskimo brother doesn't have any rhythm.
I don't. I couldn't have any rhythm to save my life, honestly.
What do you think that has anything to do with your white genealogy, maybe?
I mean, no.
Just making sure. Hi, Bree. How are you? Thank you for joining us. All right. So now that we've got the thing, and you've got your thing on, and you've danced and everything else, would you like to announce the topic tonight, Beats?
So this topic is it's a little touchy. It's white privilege, and does it exist? Ooh, God. I can feel the pain strikes in the comments right now. I can feel it.
Do you feel my white guilt? It's rising.
Oh, let's see. That's a whole nother show, bro. That's a whole nother show. All
right, so let's get down to it. What to you, Beats, defines white privilege?
Well, there's a lot of things that define white privilege, in my opinion. There are things that happen for white people that don't happen for people of color. Okay. And it's not even anything, in my opinion. I mean, there are things that give you more societal gain as a white person, that it's a lot easier for you to get. And I feel like I personally have a lot of examples, being a person of color, mulatto person of color, that I can give. The very first one is being that my fiance, she's white. She never knew what it was like to look for the cops. I remember our first 6 months, a year being together, she could never understand why I would have my head on a swivel. She was like, you have insurance, you have your license, you don't have any warrants, but you're always looking for police. Why? I was like, that's because it's just my upbringing. That's I have to, like, they could kill me. You know what I mean? Like they can really cause me some harm if I'm not paying attention to police. Even when I'm in the situation with police, like talking to them face to face, I still have my head on a swivel. I still pay attention to what they're doing, hand movements, shoulder movements, all of that, because I have to. because I'm a black man in America. And she never got it. She never got it. She never understood it until recently, with everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter, with all the protests and everything that's happening. She's like, I get it now. It makes sense. That right there is a white privilege, hands down. No, and you guys don't know because you don't know what it's like to have that upbringing.
Did you just say you guys?
I did.
You just say you? What do you mean, you people?
I did. You know what I mean, John.
This is ridiculous. I'm gonna sit here and listen to this racist crap.
Look, it's not racist. It's how it's described. You know what I mean? It's not racist. It's not racist at all. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm racist against any one kind of people. I hate humans equally because we got a lot of idiots in our world. So you know, like, but that's not to say that I'm going to sit here and tell you that the white person's bad because they have white privilege. It's a thing. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it is what it is. Other people take it to a way bigger extreme. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think. John, I feel like you're having a stroke here.
Okay. Do you know what progress it means?
Yeah, progress. You move forward into something different.
Everything you just said is the antithesis to progress.
I know that. How?
I didn't know. Well, that's a good start.
I have to explain myself though, right? Like I gotta say what it is. So
it comes from an organic place. Would it surprise you, Beast, to know that I also have spent my whole life worried about getting shot by the cops? Because in my particular neck of the woods, Idaho, like if you could put the government and authority as a person, Idaho's relationship status would be it's complicated. Because in reality, we are pretty adamant about that whole Second Amendment thing. And we spend a lot of time with like militias, gun ranges, things like that. And we also really hate any kind of overreach when it comes to our municipal authority. So we right away tend to get profiled pretty quickly, especially if we're in full body armor or if we got a couple rifles up in the back window or etc. like that. Also, if you have ever been a person in this country that smoked marijuana when it wasn't legal, you spent every moment of your life doing everything possible not to incur the observation of police.
You're right.
So you're already following traffic laws. You're already making sure that nothing's going on. And when the police are there, it's real helpful. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think there is a similarity between the way that you act and any white guy with a warrant?
God, that's a very valid point, John. I don't even want to answer the question anymore because that point's so valid. I get that. I understand that. And you know, the police one is not the best description of white privilege, to be honest with you. However, it's still got the connotations of having white privilege involved. My fiance's situation is different than yours. She isn't the white guy that smoked weed with a warrant.
I never said out loud that I was the guy in this scenario. I was just giving the scenario. I advocate only for legal marijuana use. I don't advocate for crime.
However, my fiance, she is middle class like her whole life. Okay. Sure. She her rental was a 4-bedroom, like 3,000 square foot house when she's growing up. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, that was nothing. You know what I mean? That's the upbringing she has. Police have never been around her for the most part. And when they are, all she has to do is cry. So like that's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different situation, you know?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. How much of this idea of white privilege really just comes from a numbers game? Because that's what I feel it is. When it comes down to it, you know, we're dealing with more white people than we deal with black people. So naturally, we probably deal with black people on occasion differently. I know that sometimes it's a thinking process, right? Like I've talked to you about how like I'll go into a store and if I see a black person, I suddenly make all my thoughts about not appearing racist to the black person, even though I'm not racist, even though I have a really good friend who's black that I act normal around all the time. You know, but it's the thinking process, right? So I walk in, I notice a black person right away, like even if it's just like no big deal to me or whatever. But then I'm thinking things like, you know, don't stare at them because that might be racist. Or wait, if you don't stare at them, is that racist? Because now I'm avoiding looking at them. So now pretty soon, 5 minutes into it, I'm just staring at this black dude over the side of the banana cart, and he's just like, "What in the fuck?" I don't know what to do to not be racist. And if you say that out loud,
something racist right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And if you say out loud what you're thinking and you go, you know what, I'm trying not to be racist right now, that's racist. Because why are you bringing up racism around a black person?
That's ignorance, bro. That's just being ignorant. You know, that's what that is. Okay. So here's a perfect example of white privilege at its finest. Okay.
Sure.
Lori Loughlin. Okay. We're not going to get into specifics, guys. So if you want to ask comments about specifics, we're not
watch out. We have like case detectives in our
I know. Case detectives, take it down a notch right now. We have Lori Loughlin, okay? She did the thing with the college, right?
Sure.
I honestly don't know the exact specifics. I know that she did the thing with the college, okay? Then there's two black women. I don't remember their names, okay? Because it wasn't. It was put out there as a secondary. You know what I mean? After the Lori Loughlin thing, because I didn't know about the two black women until after the Lori Loughlin thing. Okay, so there's one that it was an accident of her, how she registered one of her kids for school. Something happened that was an accident, and she got hit with the book. You know what I mean? And then there was another one who registered her kid in a different zone with a different address because she wanted her kid to go to a better school, which is pretty much the same thing Lori Loughlin did. She wanted her dumbass kids to go to college, so she paid for it. You know what I mean? This one wanted her kid.
Then let me ask you this: is white privilege?
That 1 second. You got one over here wanted her kid to go to a better school in a better area. She got like 15 years in jail, bro. Lori Loughlin bribed a college with money to fake it. You know what I mean? They weren't going to fake it over here. They just wanted to be in a better area. She got 15 years. She bribed a college with money to fake it. I said it twice so you guys can understand what I'm trying to get at here. And she got 3 years, bro. And then she gets to pick the prison.
And how is that not? And how is that not just economic privilege when it comes down to it? What are the economics that we're looking at between these two
It's
things?
a little bit of both, bro. But
white privilege to you, the reactions white people have to other white people?
What do you mean? Elaborate.
So, for instance, in this scenario where you brought this up as an example of white privilege, you're saying that this person who was white was treated differently by I'm imagining, a primarily white educational staff, right?
Okay.
Or do we know?
We don't.
Okay, so then we're looking at the college too. So when we're looking at this as a white privilege, white privilege always has to be balanced with someone who's granting that privilege. So in that case, who is the person that is actually perpetrating the channel for white privilege to come through in this area? And I'm not seeing a clear answer. So that's why I question whether it's not white privilege. I feel like white privilege in a lot of ways is a reluctance to go out of our comfort range. So like, for instance, if, and we've heard of this stuff where like, a black gets omitted from a church, and they don't really give them a reason why. but he just suddenly gets that resistance from entering something or joining a club or joining a fraternity or anything else like that. So when we look at it in that situation, we can see that, there probably is some white privilege if this fraternity just somehow accidentally turns down all their black applicants. You know what I mean? That could be a symptom of it, but really, isn't that just racial discrimination? What I ask you is this: as someone who's poor, who's white, who has a big mouth and has gotten in trouble and has a record, not a great or not a bad one, but I mean a record. Okay, so I've been in some tussles with the police over like pretty small things, misdemeanors, stuff like that, trespassing, things like that. I'm profiled. I'm seen as a potential drug user or criminal because my car is broke down and poor and crappy looking. Like, where do I specifically benefit from white privilege? Is it just in my comfort zone? Like when I go into places, I don't get stared at. They don't really treat me, I guess, any differently.
Well, let me end. Like, there's something you said in the beginning of that. What do white people think of white people, right? And I asked you to elaborate on that. It kind of threw a light bulb on in my head, dude. Like, I think I might be changing my stance here on the show.
Are you telling me that you reflected on this?
There's it. He dropped it. It's kind of hard for me. I'm kind of on the fence. And let me explain. So what you said, the white versus white, basically got me to thinking, like, man, I have seen some really rich white people talk down to some really poor white people.
Oh yeah, we're trash.
And like, I'm like, yeah, there is kind of more of an economical structure. So we're gonna air quote it now, white privilege. Okay.
It's freaking air quote.
Yeah, air quote.
White privilege.
White privilege. Okay? Because that's what we're calling it right now. Okay.
What we should call it, Beats? You want to know what we should call it? We should call it rich privilege.
I don't want to call it rich privilege because I think that's too generic. I think it should be called social privilege. Okay.
Social privilege.
Yeah, I think it should be called social privilege. Because I'll get back to that. So let's hold that. This is why I'm on the fence though, because and this is a real life situation. Not gonna lie to you guys. My name is Aaron Anthony Chafer. My older brother is Eric Keith Chafer. Okay, listen to those names. Aaron Anthony Chafer. Okay. Then my younger brothers, Jabril Kyrie Mack. All right. Then you have Elijah Mustafa Brown. Okay. Me and my older brother can go fill out an application, get an interview like that. No problem at all. My two little brothers own their own businesses. You want to know why? Because it's super hard for them to get a job because no one calls them back. Even if they call on it, even if they have a superb resume, no one calls them back. That is definitely a white privilege.
Or is that white privilege, or is that just black discrimination or discrimination against black?
I as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was like, that doesn't sound right. It's kind of white privilege now. See, I'm changing on this show, bro. It's not a white privilege now. That is, how am I gonna put this? I don't want to say it's person of color No, it's not going to work.
Is it perhaps
help me out?
Discrimination? How about racial prejudice?
I want to say it's profiling.
Okay, racial profiling.
I think it's racial profiling.
So he's looking at that. Actually, that would be really because he's looking at the name, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, Jamal, huh? I mean, we don't know. This guy could have been a nice guy and just passed over this shit. We don't know. But we assume because it makes sense. especially since it's something that I know that you've talked about before. Your brother, it's not one time. It's not 2 times.
Yeah.
He gets passed over constantly.
Yes.
And he's got a good
Yes.
record, and he's got a good set of skills. He's got a good resume. He's got
my brother, the one that's under me, Jabril, he's super successful. Okay. Like, I mean, the dude is a field distributor for Kirby. You know how hard it is to get that high up the chain in Kirby? You got to sell like everything. He has to order like 30 to 40 Kirby's a month, bro.
I'm surprised that people are still buying them and people can survive on selling them, man, because...
Dude, bro, my brother's got a Jaguar. He's got chains around his neck. He's got a pinky ring. He got his wedding ring is like another pinky ring. Like my brother's doing it big. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not like he's doing it just to stunt. Like, he got 2 kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he got a fiance. he got a family to take care of. But ain't no 9-to-5 is going to take care of his family, because no 9-to-5 will ever give him the chance because of his name.
I can see that. I can see that. Just I mean, I'll tell you what. I have a couple friends that are Muslim, and they're actually immigrants. I want to say that they came from Iran, but it was a long ass time ago when they were kids. To this day, man, when people see their names, they are just like, so we've selected you for random screening. Could you please step over to the side? And you're like, apparently you're just randomly screening people with foreign exotic names and brown skin. Fantastic. That's a great
I was literally a victim of that. And I say victim,
How
dude.
many people were?
I was so mad, bro. They made me strip down to my boxers, dude, at the gate. Okay, like, and I'm 17. I'm not even an adult. But my parents couldn't be there because this was like literally 2001. So you know what the airport looked like in 2001. There was chain link fence everywhere, and you can only go past a certain spot if you had a ticket after you passed 2 bomb tests. And then you had to do another one at the gate. And then they strip searched me because I was wearing the same jacket as some other dude. But they didn't strip search the white guy who had the same jacket on that I did.
Okay, so I know of several examples of people getting racially profiled by TSA, period. And especially after post 9/11, anybody who looked remotely Arab can testify to the fact that they went through there.
Bro, I could pass for an Arab rapper right now.
What is that? Is that your Arab rapper pose?
Yeah. They're still stuck in the 90s.
I'm not sure if that's xenophobic or racist, but
it's not. It's not. It's just, it's a funny.
Well, you know, that's kind of how it was growing up poor too, right? When you grow up poor, you grow up with the technology of the last 2 decades.
You do.
So you don't have anything that's new. So like a lot of the technology I used was actually the people before that.
And no, I'm not dissing on Arabs in any way. There's some fire Arab rappers out there, bro. Like, I don't understand what they're saying, but they got some heat. They sound good. So it was more like a homage, like, hey, you feel me?
Gotcha. I got you. No, you had some style there. So we can't really verify a lot of the things that we assume, because this whole idea of racial discrimination, in my opinion, it's not very open, which is why I reject certain concepts like complete and total systemic racism, because I believe in a lot of ways, many of the portions of our system have made great bounds and have gone far in equality and equitability for everybody to be able to access certain aspects of societal gain, things like that. How much of it really comes down to like racial prejudice or racial discrimination in a specific area or a specific group of people or a specific set of, how much of it really comes down to actually being the laws are racist, the court is racist, everything else? How much of it is actually just a couple crappy judges that still got some old prejudices? You know, how many of it are congressmen that used to be in the KKK? You know, like how much of this systemic racism is actually systemic and not just like people who are just racist dicks?
Yeah, it's I'm kind of struggling with it now, bro. Honestly, I don't really feel like I could take a hard stance on it being in existence anymore. Like, especially having the light bulb moment that I had earlier, you know, like I don't know. Like I think now it's more based on just like the person and their upbringing. You know what I mean? And how they've been brought up and they've been taught. And there's never going to be a change in that. You know what I mean? Like families are going to teach their families the way they want to teach their families until the day that family is done, which
I tell you this, man, I am shocked at some of the things that still get taught. Mm-hmm. I literally had a person that is no longer on my Facebook and was only there temporarily that literally wrote, "Diversity is death. Make sure your children know to use condoms." So my question is here, when I see something like that, and it's unashamed, and it's unabashed, and it's brutally open, I wonder how many are hiding that same mentality. If this person is thinking that, and this person feels comfortable enough bringing that up in a big popular Facebook group or whatever, how is it? I mean, can I really discount that that's not happening a lot of times behind people's eyes, in people's heads, in people's decision making and stuff? If we have people that are that blatantly racist, is it possible that a lot of racism is hidden and it's only seen when we start to look at where the decisions are being made? Like, for instance, we've talked about this before when I talked about having a civilian-based committee replace internal affairs, basically. Mm-hmm. And what their whole job would be to do is to crunch numbers on arrests, sentencing, judge decisions, etc., and make sure there's consistency. Because contrary to what we believe, the law should be consistent. Like, it may suck that... Sorry, what were you going to say, buddy?
Do you think that that's where the white privilege is really mainly at, and it just kind of spread out as an idea from there, is the justice system?
Because I know where I think white privilege is.
What?
It's not seeing it. It's not seeing the racism. It's discrediting every time racism gets brought up. It's the idea that just because you have not experienced that specific hatred in your specific vicinity and you have not seen black people tormented or tortured or white people screwed over or whatever else, no matter what it is. And I think that comes from the fact that that doesn't happen to the majority of people. I don't think the majority of people are treated badly by police, which is why it's so prevalent in certain small demographics, areas, groups, genres of people. Because if we had to face that, if I had to see white supremacists trying to kill black people, if I had to see police beating the crap out of black people and everything else like that, it would not continue. It would not be a thing. Because one of the biggest issues that we have, especially as a white person, I'll just speak for myself because I don't want to speak for all whites, but as a white person dealing with this, is saying, you know, just because maybe I've always treated black people fine, Just because maybe I've never thought of these things that way, or I've never been mean or anything, doesn't mean that I should discredit your experience, Beats. So if, you tell me, dude, I get a lot of flack from cops, man, even though I'm not doing anything wrong. As much as I can say, hey, I also get profiled, I also get screwed over or whatever else. It doesn't mean I can say, hey, that shit that happened to you wasn't racist, Beats. It didn't have anything to do with the color of your skin. It didn't have to do with any of that. You know how many times I've been wrong about people? Like people I know?
About them being racist or not being racist?
About anything.
Okay.
I'm not talking about racism. I'm talking about anticipating how they think or how they're going to react.
So not going off of an assumption and not actual fact.
Right. So like I have these friends or whatever, right? That, they do stuff and I'm like, that is totally, I did not see that cut. What the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How often does that happen with racism where we can't anticipate it? We can't see it through there. You know what I mean? So like, do I think that the entire system from top to bottom is racist? No. Do I think that because our country was founded while we employed slavery, that is what defines what America is? No. It defines what our history was. It defines where we came from. But the strides that we have made since then, we were one of the first people ever globally in this kind of situation to not only combat slavery, but to speak out against it, to promote it. And don't get me wrong, we still have issues. We still have chunks of the system that suck. But how much of that is just geared towards keeping poor people in their place so that the rich get richer? How much of that is, I don't want this trash stinking up my neighborhood because I've got a $500,000 car and I got a $3.5 million house. And I don't like the fact that these skeevy little white kids or these skeevy little black kids are coming around. They're thugs. I don't like that they have torn clothing or it's too big or it sags too low. Like how much of this is actual classism that we're getting rammed down our throats so we don't even know? White people, white poor people, we don't know that we're having the same issues you are. We don't know that we're having the same issues. We have our own crap. We have our own discriminations that we deal with. We have our own BS. So when we sit down and look at this side by side, and I have this conversation with you, Beats, and you're telling me about the struggles that you've had, I suddenly start realizing we're getting screwed. And we're getting screwed by the people that profile us. Who are the people that profile us? The people that are rich and look down on us. Does that mean all rich people are bad? No.
No, it doesn't. I've met some pretty awesome.
Does that mean the system treats poor people like they are bad? Yes. We're a burden on the system, right? And if we ask for help, it's a nanny state mentality. We just want a handout.
Well, you know what? I mean, with that being said, with you saying that, then the rich can never be rich without the poor.
Well, that's a fact. But then when you start saying that stuff, people call you a communist. And we don't want to go down that road.
Oh, that's not what I mean. That's not what I'm saying. I'm speaking as
that's
if
where
I
we
was
go
them.
with that.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's the truth. Like, they don't even see that. Like, they don't want the poor. They want to abolish the poor or section the poor off and keep them away from their $3.5 million house and $500,000 car. But why, when they're such an important part of your ecosystem, pretty much? You know what I mean? The same thing goes for Hispanics. Let's go push them all out, all the illegals. Bet we're going to have a problem.
Check this out. So I want to bring this up just because this is a good segue. Crystal just wrote this, but when we get into classism, you have to understand that most poor communities are a majority of minorities. Correct, Kristen. So does it make sense to only focus our assistance on minorities or assisting all the poor people, which includes these minorities? Now, I'm just saying that as a devil's advocate question, just to get your thought process going. What I'm saying is this, is if we attack things such as classism, then inevitably they're going to scoop up the people that are also the said victims of classism. So when we really look at it, and I mean, I think when it comes to racism, racism is real. Systemic racism is real, but I think a lot of it is incidental, and I think a lot of it is loaded towards the poor. That's why I think a lot of white people also get caught up in the trap. I've talked to white people before that grew up on the streets of like Harlem. You know, their story's not very different than most black people that I hear that come from inner cities, man. They have
It
the
isn't.
same
It isn't. It isn't. And that, to be honest with you, as a black person, that white person that made it through the hood like that is a definitely special kind of breed, because they're not given the easiest road at all, not even a little bit. I mean, we had some growing up, some white homies. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would literally make them do certain things just so they can have the privilege of dropping an N-bomb. You know what I mean? Like, and they would. This is a special kind of breed. Special kind of breed. But that's a small percentage of white people though, bro. And I kind of agree with what Kristen was saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, the majority of communities that are poor are minorities. And when we say minorities, and when I say minority, a lot of people, I feel like when you hear minorities, think of just black people. That's not just black people. That's black people. That's Asians, people from Africa.
Don't label them. Don't label them. Yeah, people of color and indigenous peoples.
There you go. There you go. That's what I was looking for. But we're all a melting pot. You know what I'm saying? Right. In the poor communities, there's a bunch of different kinds of poor people, and some of them are white too, bro. I really think that my mind has been changed from white privilege to class privilege, because that's what it is. Like, now,
you can still incorporate the fact that you sometimes receive racial discrimination beats, because there are people out there that are, you know, dicks to people of color.
Yeah, no,
and vice versa.
All day.
So that classism privilege stacks with a little bit of that racial discrimination, and that's kind of a double dipstick for you, brother.
Not really.
Well, let me ask you this. This is a good point that was brought up in the comments. So if we have if we have 4 people in a car, we're all poor, we're all drug addicts or whatever, and we get pulled over, who do you think they're going to zero in on first? If 3 of them are white and 1 of them's black?
The black dude.
Right. Because racial discrimination adds that seasoning on top of the classism, right? Mm. It's like an extra little tasty at the end. It's not only screw you poor peasants, it's screw you poor peasants and go back to Africa. And we know that's how the attitude goes.
So, yeah. I mean, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying there. I definitely see what you're saying. I get that. But it's still classism. Like,
I'm going to start with this. Hold on, buddy. I got to pull this up. Chuck, if the rich didn't make it so damn expensive to start up our own businesses, we wouldn't have to worry about them. Job creators are often CEO creators. I don't buy that, Chuck. Not one bit. Rich people are not the people that drive the economy. They're not the people that start small little businesses from the ground up.
I don't know. I think Teddy got a little.
You think Jeff Bezos, he's starting businesses left and right, right?
I think he's got a point, though. I think my man Teddy Pendergrass has got a point. Yes, I said Teddy. Chuck, your name is not Chuck no more with me. It's Teddy. It is definitely a catch-22, because you do got to have per capita to start a business. It shouldn't be the rich that have to help other people start a business, because then they wouldn't be rich.
No.
Oh, stop. Wait, I have a point, okay? Like, they wouldn't be rich, right? And I'm looking at this unbiasedly, bro. I'm not looking at this from any point or any one single point. They wouldn't be rich if they gave away all their money. If there is there should be some kind of small business something. I'm not sure if there is from like the government or something.
Here's what happens. No. Here's what happens with these rich corporations. Let me just explain this, okay? So this guy is an entrepreneur or whatever. He strikes super, super rich, right? Mm. He becomes billionaire, right? Mm-hmm. And he starts up all these cool little companies, right? He's creating jobs. But unfortunately, he spends his whole entire life thinking about how to cut costs and make things more efficient. So he opts his call service out to India. Mm-hmm. He makes sure his products are bought from China.
Okay.
He makes sure that every dollar that he makes on this premise, oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry, I'm totally ripping Mike off right here. This is something that we were just talking about. He makes sure that every dollar that he gets a profit, he puts in a tax haven offshore.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? We're just funneling money into that and saying, oh, he's a job creator. He's the whole reason that we have new jobs, rather than saying, hey, if you take your business out of America, I'm going to tax your ass off, and I'm going to use that tax to give grants and small loans to businesses that are willing to live in America.
What I was trying to explain.
Manufacture in America, willing to hire in America, and will keep their business in America. Because we don't need any more people leaving America with their rich business. That's literally
what I was trying to say, Don. Tax the rich person.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't arguing with you, Beats. I love you, baby. You know that.
Well, you would have shut the heck up for 5 seconds. I would have been able to.
I literally cannot. I literally cannot.
See, this is why me and John get along. We're like brothers from another mother, bro. Like we were supposed to meet 18 years ago at Job Corps with John all deer-eyed in the door looking at me and big old Naba.
That was
yeah, I was literally trying to say that. Like,
you know what? Hold on, Beats. Hold on.
You gas it.
Good idea, Beats. Good idea. Good take. I love what you said. That makes so much sense. You're a genius, dude. You are a genius.
But honestly, that's really how it should be. It shouldn't, to me, let me put a little caveat on that. It shouldn't be if you take your business out of this country. It shouldn't be if you buy your supplies from China. It should just be, you're rich, we're going to tax you.
Well, I do think that in a lot of ways the loopholes are out of control. Like, I don't think that, we have to tax the rich more. In fact, a lot of times I like a flat tax, man. You get a certain percentage of your stuff and it goes. I mean, not a lot of people like it. There's some arguments for that. But I can certainly say that with all the tax loopholes that we have and all the rigmaroles, and I mean, our President Donald Trump, on a debate, basically specifically said, look, there are these tax loopholes. And of course I used them because I'm a businessman, right? So we know this mentality is rife through the corporate sector because that's just good business. So let's eliminate the damn loopholes.
You should only get a credit for your taxes if you do something to give back. Period.
And it has to be something that is verifiable, trackable, etc.
And I'm talking about rich people. I'm not talking about your average, common, everyday person, middle class. If you are balling out of control, you're gonna get taxed, whether you like it or not.
Okay, hold on. What do you think of Crystal right here?
Well, my friend who is a POC and myself go to the same lot for similar cars, and it takes me 15 minutes to get approved and takes her 5 hours. Systemic racism. I don't know about that one.
That is called societal racism.
I don't know about that one.
There's no legislation. There's no legislation or there's no chunk of the system that says it has to be that way, which means that the person operating those approvals is being racially discriminatory. That is by definition not systemic racism. Systemic racism would be
I don't even think it's
if the law requires all black people to wait 5 hours for their approvals, but white people don't.
John, shut the hell up for 1 second. Put the comment back up. Put it back up. Put it back up. Okay. I don't think the time factor has anything to do with race. I don't. And I've learned this because I was a guy who was broke and couldn't buy anything. And it took me 5 to 6 hours to negotiate a deal at a car lot. You know what I mean? Where now that I have better financial situation, a little bit better of a credit score, I could finagle that down to about an hour with paperwork. You know what I mean? So like, I can't really get on board with that one because of personal experience. It could be because of the car lot you went to. It could be. I think that could be a whole lot of different factors of why that happened to your friend and why it took them 5 hours and you 15 minutes. There's a whole bunch of different factors.
Well, we need to clarify if it's systemic, it's within the system, right? The system actually is upholding the racist ideal. That's why I reject systemic racism. I believe in societal racism. I believe that people in society are racist and will sometimes deny you a loan or deny you this or profile your ass or shoot you at a traffic stop when you go to grab your wallet.
Well, with that being said, can you say that this might not make sense, audience? This might not make any sense, but can you say it's societal, systemic racism then? All of that sandwiched together?
Then why are we using the term? So then why are we, if it's all squeezed together, why are we using societal or systemic at all? Why aren't we just
because America's lazy and we don't like to talk too much.
So we add words? Why isn't this just racism?
No, you said less words. What do you mean add words?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, why do we call it systemic racism?
So the systemic is behind it happening for so long, bro. Okay, I guess systemic is the wrong word then. It's institutionalized.
Can you please give me an example of some racist laws?
No, institutionalized mentally, bro. That's what I'm saying. You go to prison, you become institutionalized. You come out of prison, you kind of want to go back to prison because you're put on such a regiment of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So it's the same. Listen, shh, John, damn it. I'm going to run out of shushes. When somebody is taught over and over and over again that this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is, doesn't that become an institutionalized situation?
Not by definition of the word institutionalized.
Okay, Webster, then bust it out.
Racial prejudice is racism. That's what it is.
It's just flat out racism.
Yes, if I'm taught constantly that all blacks are thugs and I act like all blacks are thugs, then I am racist.
Then what about somebody?
Racist, but it's not. That's not in systemic racism.
What about somebody like? Hold on. What about somebody like you though that grew up in an area that where you got the ignorant racism? Then if nobody stops that, then doesn't it become systemic or institutionalized at that point because it's completely ignorant and it's just taught for no reason and they don't really know?
Okay, so here's the deal right here. There's no law that says anything has to be racist, but some laws are enforced differently for other races. By who? Because we see exceptions to this case. We see it where black people do get good sentencing. Black people do occasionally get a good thing or anything. So really what it comes down to, is it a racist prosecutor? Is it a racially prejudiced judge? Because if the law in the system itself is not racist, then there must be racists in the system doing racist things.
You're totally right, but peel the layer back of the onion back. One more layer, bro. One more layer. Take the justice system and any other system besides people out of it.
What does system mean?
I'm not using that word no more. We're not using systemic. We're using institutionalized. We're changing it. It's still the same concept, bro. And we'll argue about this for hours after this show because I'm telling you, I will get my point across and you'll have your aha moment, just like you have your aha moments with me, or I have my aha moments with you. You just got lucky that it happened on a show this time. Maybe it'll happen for me on show 6 or 7. Who knows? But, bro, I'm telling you, when you look at how the people who are racist, their family, their lineage, their upbringing, their what they're taught, that's the institutionalization right there, bro. So what that they're a judge? So what that they're a cop or this or that? That doesn't matter when we're talking about the systemic part of it or the institutionalization part of it. You see what I'm saying? They're lucky enough to be in those positions and to be able to have that power and to be able to use those ideas that they've been taught in their family lineage against people of color. You see what I'm saying? However, it's deeper than that, bro. It's deeper than the judge. It's deeper than the court system. It's deeper than the police. It's deeper than the sheriff. It's deeper than our government. It's deeper than our legislation. It's way deeper than our laws, bro. That is what the country that this has been made of started with, bro. It's going to be there. It'll always be there until somebody or everyone stops it.
And how do we do that, Beats? Because now they're saying the way that we do it is we tear the system down from top to bottom and rebuild it. My problem with that is, I'm telling you right now, there's no reason that a black person under any of our premises of American ideology, under the spirit of the Declaration of Independence, under the Constitution of the United States, under ideas of civil rights, everything that we profess. Now, I do believe that people themselves do not uphold these values, but our system does. It's just not being run right. It's not the machine's fault. It's the operator of the machine that literally
because the people aren't upholding the shit that they should, bro. That's why I say it's deeper, because nobody's upholding it. You literally just said it right there.
It's no deeper than the individual, Jeets. That's what I'm saying. It's no deeper than the racist asshole at the controls. That's how deep it is. So, and I mean, I guess we can go into his grandpa was the one who taught him to be racist. So yeah, once again, we're venturing back into societal racism, which is a real thing. That people racially discriminate against blacks and people of color and indigenous people based on their color of their skin or what their nationality or ethnicity is. Yes, totally exists. Totally is a thing. But you're condemning the American system, not you, but in general, you're condemning the American system for things that people are using the system to do rather than what the system is actually supposed to do, what it's actually written as, what the black and white text of the system is. Isn't the answer enforcement of that system and its values, not destruction of that system and total recreation? The Constitution right now, Beats, guarantees you a legal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's true.
Do we need to add anything to that to make that anything
we don't
more?
need to add anything to
we
it.
Just need to enforce it.
We need to allow people who aren't going to have the background of the societal racism be able to get into office, bro. Because when is that going to happen?
Unless you're voting in Democrats.
I agree.
That was a cheap shot, and that's not an endorsement of the Republican Party.
No, it's not. It's not because the Republican Party has problems of their own too.
Not a fan of either. Not a fan of either.
But we need to vote somebody else in. Not a.
We have a lot of laws we have a lot of laws already in place that make discrimination illegal.
Mm.
So, do you feel that's indicative of a system that is trying to address that racism?
I think it's like putting a Band-Aid on a hole in your heart.
So what is the plug the hole in the heart, Beats? Give me the magic solution and I'll give it to America tomorrow.
I'd be president if I had that solution, bro.
I'm going to be president in 4 years, and here's my solution. I'm going to make sure that every POC and indigenous person in America has their constitutional rights upheld as the highest form of law, so that no person can trample them with tyranny, so that no person can deny them based on their ethnicity or their race or their discriminated values. I'm going to make sure that for once, the Constitution is actually upheld as the fundamental basic of civil liberty and consent of the governed to be governed. I'm going to make sure that you can whip out that We the People document and make a racist cop piss his pants. Because right now, The Constitution is not being upheld that way. It's not even being promoted that way. And
It's
that's
not.
what irritates me. Democrat Party, they pick a couple amendments and run with them. Republican Party, a couple of amendments and they'll run with them. Nobody wants to uphold the Constitution in its entirety because it literally defends us from their immoral overreach, from their ability to, and when we want change, it's right there in the Constitution. We can ask for it. The First Amendment. We are allowed to petition our government for a redress of grievances.
We gotta do a to be continued. We forgot to announce.
We gotta go.
Yep, that I have some previous engagements that, well, actually not previous engagements. I'm an idiot and I double scheduled myself. Whoops. So we gotta go. We're gonna continue this one. This is something
Next time will be
part two of this. I appreciate everybody stopping in. I'm sorry that we got to cut it short. I know that we were probably getting into like the real meat of this one here. So final thoughts, John?
Black power.
Black power?
No, you racist son of a bitch.
Oh, I see what you did there. See, I knew that was loaded. That's why I was like,
Look, Bree, I don't think, we do need to have love. We need to have discussion. We need to have understanding, and we need to have a compassionate approach to our fellow person. I totally agree with that.
Right.
I think that's something that we can do, not through legislation, but on an individual basis by coming to the table as Americans.
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution, by upholding it as a civil liberty blanket for any citizen against the government, regardless of credos, religion, color, and everything else, it starts with the fundamental shared interest in the actual founding principles of America. Right now, a lot of people on the left don't feel very patriotic. Okay? The reason why is because they think that by adhering to things like the Constitution of the United States, Declaration of Independence, etc., that it doesn't work for them. It only works for white cowboy hat people.
John, part two.
Anyways, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We love you.
And we out.
The Reflections pieced out. Go ahead, Bleats. I'll wrap these up and send them on the way. So anyways, yeah, that's what we got to look at. That's where I see it. I'm just saying that, like, if you want to have shared ground, we already have a shared ground that is literally based on individual freedom, and once we do that, we can drop the rest away. We can drop the labels away. When the label becomes a problem to your civil liberty as an American citizen, we need to get rid of the label. Okay? Because it's obviously not the issue of liberty. So we love you. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a wonderful episode. I hope you enjoyed us screaming at each other. We're good friends. Don't worry. We're not really mad. Hey, be brave, be kind, use your heart to change your mind. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit the Facebook button or Google us up to look on The Reflection. You'll see our faces. God bless America and everywhere else. See you.